somehow, you had the wherewithal to know all this shit and somehow had no fucking idea what the Oregon Trail was. It makes no sense, but it really is. It really is like, I would have said prior to these two morons that it's the most universal thing from like that almost 2 generations really. I feel like it spanned a couple where it was like, I remember I bought a T-shirt that was like Barstool shirts. That was like, you have died of dysentery with the Conestoga wagon on it. And I would wear it to day drinking parties and wear it to the bar in college, out on the quad. And, Oregon. Everybody fucking knew it.
There's a definitive cutoff for that, though, for sure.
Yeah, well, sure, but I just didn't think it was. I also would think that a guy, like, do you know other classic, like, if I bring up, like, other.
Like he didn't know what a gateway was.
King's Quest, like shit like that.
I've heard of King's Quest, but I don't think I've ever played King's Quest.
Do you know?
I see. I barely even know that.
Do you know Civilization?
Civ is awesome.
That's a computer game, right?
Yeah,
like Rise of Civilization, or is that the same game I'm thinking of?
No, Civ is turn-based.
Sid Meier's.
I don't know.
Civ still is releasing all the time.
Yeah,
so like
Civ 2 was like the greatest thing that ever happened.
I played Civ 3.
That like controlled my life for like.
I played like 3 months worth of Civ 3.
Do you know that one was like Willie Beamish? Do you know that one? Willie
Beamish.
Anyway, I'm
you're like nerding out.
But like, I'm just wondering, in the gamer world, either PC, video games, or computer games, is it something where you like know the history like you would sports, or is it just like I grew up in this era, so I played these
What was your
video games,
first console? My first console. So this is actually a funny story. When my sister got born, she's 3.5 years younger than me. I don't remember her coming home, but when my parents brought her home, they got me a PlayStation 1 at this exact same day.
That's a trick where they...
Yes, my dad walked in with the PlayStation 1. I don't remember my sister coming home. So I would just play the PlayStation 1 all day. I've always played like N64. I had friends who had GameCube. But I was always like PlayStation, PlayStation 2, 360, PS4, and now PC. You know, like the main games, like obviously, and we're getting into some trouble here with Mario. We'll debate, but I say Mario.
Yeah,
it's in Mario too.
Mario, it's a New York thing.
No, that's a New York thing.
You say Mario?
I say I identify with what he says, and he says it's me, Mario.
So you just speak with an Italian accent for some reason. Okay. Makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
But so like it's a New York, New Jersey thing, but it's also not. There's also plenty of people from here that say Mario, and I'm like, you fucking
I've always said like, you want to play Mario. Like I've never even like thought about it.
You say
Mario.
Yeah.
So I don't even think that. I just say it.
Yeah.
It's Mario. It's always been Mario.
No, it's not.
Until I moved here and like met you people, it was always Mario.
Mario for life.
That's so funny.
Anyway.
But Mario would kick the shit out of you guys if he heard you say that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well, you know where we really get into trouble is why isn't it Wario?
Yes, I know.
That's where I'm always like, I got nothing.
That puts me in a hole right away.
Like
Wario? You say Wario, you
should say Wario. You know what? I'm going to start saying Wario. That's really piss people off. Like my favorite Tony Garrett is Wario.
I did say Wario.
No, Wario's correct, but then that would be Mario.
Wario.
So the way we say Mario,
if you say where, that's everyone's defense.
Yeah, that's
why isn't it Wario?
They bring that
I
up.
tried to like defend in my head, and I still just fell right into
Just rename it like Luigi or something like that. We'll change Luigi to that.
Luigi.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a soft G.
Bowser, doesn't matter. We can figure it out.
So wait, what were you saying about Mario?
So basically, so you know like some of the games that like were iconic, that everyone came up with, but then there's a lot of games that get lost in translation that are very generational. Right. Because Mario, still to this day, he's a Super Smash character. Like he still lives on. He'll always live on. But like the Oregon Trail, like the Ox, like.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. There was no guy that was like the leader of your wagon. There should have been.
The Ox never had a spin-off where he was the main character.
Yeah, none of that. I mean, there was multiple versions of it.
Did anyone? But like the whole point, the reason Oregon Trail was like so well known is because they made like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of like children play it for education.
But it was also kind of fire.
And no one ever like made it.
Oh, fuck that. I made it all the time.
I made it to the Willamette Valley all the time.
I always die.
You go down the river at the end?
Dude, I never made it.
Oh, you stink, bro.
Dude,
I never made it. Did people really make it?
Yeah.
I never made it, dude. That was the whole thing.
I survived.
You just die of dysentery in Utah.
No.
But that's the funny part is dying.
I mean,
What an awful place to die.
Dude,
I was saying on our stream when he was playing for the first time, like, think about, it was 1878 when we were traveling, right? And you hop in a fucking wagon with your fucking wife and 4 kids. And you pack up your shit and you just for like 3,000 miles. And like when you made it to like Colorado, wouldn't you be like, close enough. We're good. We don't need to go the last 900 miles through the Rockies. Let's just call it quits here, honey. I can't imagine how many people were like, yeah, honey, go fucking look at that bush over there.
do
Bitten
we-
by a snake.
Yeah.
See you later.
Do we know how
Goodbye."
many people just died in the Rocky Mountains? Because those things are
Tons, I'm sure.
the tallest
tons.
things
Oh,
in
was
the
it
world.
the Donner Party
They
or
are
whatever?
tall.
Yeah,
the cannibals.
That's where they
there,
all.
yeah.
Donner
Yeah.
Pass,
That's-
yeah.
I'm sure there was
you
so much
definitely know.
grimy
Yeah,
shit
they
going on.
Oh,
And then like you get to Oregon, then what? Like,
Yeah,
what's
well, then I think it was the gold rush.
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought
sure
the gold
everybody
rush was
got
more
there.
south though, or it was up north.
That's a great. I don't know. Yeah,
That's
that was
what
more
I
California.
think it was
San
But the
Francisco.
San Francisco.
funny
Right,
is-
seriously, wasn't
Yeah.
it originally California?
We're not
San
history majors.
Francisco. No, you
That's
can get
what-
it anywhere.
And,
Makes sense.
so the 49ers were like the gold rush was in 1849. So that's further down south and like 50 years
I think
earlier than
why
we
don't
were
we have a
traveling. 30
question
years
why
ago.
we're
Yeah.
going to Oregon? Like, what were we going
Yeah.
for?
Well, they must have just been promised some. That's what I mean, though. You probably got there. You know, 2 kids are dead. Your wife's got a broken leg. You have cholera and dysentery, and then someone's like, "Just go live in Oregon."
yeah.
Fuck, man. What was the point of this?
That was the funniest thing is that it'd just be a bunch of kids in a computer lab in like pure silence. And then one kid would be like, "My daughter just died."
It was a
wife just shit
pretty
herself to
violent,
death.
gruesome. I mean, and then hunting,
You
man.
get bitten by a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
That was a big
You
one.
break bones, you get bit by a rattlesnake, you drink bad water, you die of exhaustion,
The water just goes
starvation.
bad. The water just goes
Yeah,
bad.
bad water. And then you would go hunting and you would just massacre an entire forest of buffalo.
Yeah.
And it would be, I mean, we were, at one point he killed like 1,900 pounds of food and you could bring
You only
back
take
100.
over 100.
Yes.
Yeah, what was the point of that?
Which is like, yeah, I mean, what does that mean? They're like hacking up the fucking buffalo and just taking like a little chunk with
I don't
it?
know if you guys looked it up. What, 3% of people made it, I would guess? Like, in
No,
the 1800s?
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, you're talking about real life.
Like, yeah,
Oh,
in real
oh,
life.
you're talking
No,
about
no,
real
no.
life.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
if we did it right now, we wouldn't survive. Like,
Hell no.
we would all die. Going across
What,
rivers.
talk about great content. I'm surprised Dave hasn't been like when I wrote the blog, Barstool Does the Oregon Trail, and I
That was like my
played it
first
out
week.
and
You
like
wrote that blog?
yeah, it's one of my favorite
2014.
blogs ever. We did like I
That's
took
hilarious.
screenshots of everything.
Yeah,
it
let's
was
find
it was
it.
me and Keith and John and Dan and Dave, and like and I remember the way that we all died or had shit happen played out like how it really would. Like it was like I had exhaustion, like I was Couch Clancy, and like Feidelberg did something reckless and broke his leg or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I remember what you can remember.
Big
You
Cat
can
would
talk to
definitely be
people.
dysentery and dies.
Yeah, it was everything was very. I think it was right around when Dan like was shitting himself or whatever, and he had fucking dysentery. So it was all very very funny.
That's funny.
I had talked to like I tried to trade with people, and I remember there was like I think there was some heavy racist shit like in there, like with Indians and Native Americans and shit.
Yeah, they
so there was
slit
some
your
very
throat.
funny stuff with that,
Yeah.
and then the hunting scene was funny. So it was one of like my favorite blogs that I ever wrote. And I was surprised Dave wasn't like, all right, we're doing this for real. Like, get you guys in a fucking
You
wagon.
gotta do
Let's
the,
go.
The Feidelberg technique, right? With he's like, if I was ever homeless, here's my McDonald's path, like all the way across
Start
the country.
going.
He's like,
Yeah.
if you just go to
Oh,
McDonald's,
really?
you beg at that McDonald's, you get food. You go to the next McDonald's, and he like mapped it out
Smart.
how he would get
I would
across
go
the
to
country.
Florida. I wouldn't go all the way west. I would go south.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're homeless, just start walking. You know?
Wait, how far did you get when you played?
No, we made it through, and that was
Made it.
my first time playing.
Really?
It was really, I don't know if they made it a little bit easier, but we didn't really have that much
Yeah,
bullshit
we
happen.
didn't run into much. I mean, let's not get it twisted, guys. This is a game for first graders.
Well, yeah.
So it's not really the most difficult thing in the world.
It's
Like,
hard to remember. I think
Yeah.
I was like 8 playing it.
If you like,
Just
I
getting
used to
so
just be
pissed.
like, we're gonna go on a grueling pace.
Yeah.
Nobody's eating food, and we're gonna hunt, and like, so then everybody died. If you just go and you're like, people are tired. We need to rest. We need to get this. We need to get that. We need to
Right.
trade for these things. It's fairly easy. But when
Right.
you're like, I mean, when you cross the rivers, you could either ford it, meaning
paying
like you just tried to walk with your oxen. You could caulk it, which was like you put everything in and floated. I don't know how you do that, by the way.
That sounds
and
so
then,
fucking
or then
cool.
you could take the
Yeah.
ferry, which you paid money for,
And you
you
have to wait a
safely-
couple days.
So I was like, you're a fucking bitch if you take the ferry.
Yeah,
okay, you are a fucking
Can't do that.
pussy.
Can't do
Yeah.
that.
So you got to at least caulk it, if not ford it. Ford is crazy. They were just like, we're just
Ford
gonna
is
walk
nuts.
through it. We're just gonna walk through this fucking river. But the only real fun of that game, like we caulked the river. It was 1,900 feet, I think it was, right?
Yeah,
it
we
was
were
like several
screaming.
football fields,
Yeah.
40 feet deep. And it was like, let's caulk it, and then you see this thing just slowly go. And
And
at
it
one
could
point you
sink,
can't
and
see
you
the
just
shore on
watch
either
it.
side, and
Yeah.
it's like, and then when we get to the shore, it was like, going, fuck yeah.
Frank the whole
unreal.
time is like yelling this, ferry, ferry, I don't
Frank
wanna
was being
die."
a bitch.
Like,
Frank wanted the ferry. He
yeah,
wanted
Frank was like
rest.
the angel. Casey was like, you're a pussy if you don't fucking ford
It's
it or
great.
caulk it.
I fucking love that game,
Where do you
man.
even play it? Like, how
You
do
can play it online.
You literally
like,
just
easy.
Google the Oregon Trail game.
Yeah,
It'll be
there's
like the first
there's like a
one.
game
Yeah.
generator
Bunch
thing,
of
whatever it
emulators
is.
out there.
Yeah, emulators.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, we thought it was the peak of computer games, but now they just like let you play it anyway.
It definitely taught the harshness of reality.
Definitely. Yeah.
At a young age.
Right.
Having family members die.
What do you think is the best game console ever?
Best game console ever? That stuff. I mean, I really like PS2
It has
a
to
lot.
be PS2.
PS2s, I think, is easy.
64 is like so iconic, and they were at every dentist
Oh,
office.
well,
That's where I mainly played the 64.
Every dentist office?
Yes.
I don't know.
In the 2000s.
I don't know what he's
In the
talking about.
2000s.
What are you talking
My
That's
dentist
a
was
fucking
like
luxury, bro.
Every pediatrician had
Not my dentist.
or
No
every
way.
dentist had the N64 console. Yeah, we had 2 of them.
What the fuck, dude?
We're
Mine
like
had like year-old
Is
magazines.
this one of the things that
Well, this
you
is-
had that you
but
think
think-
everybody
no,
had?
no,
Highlights, bro. I
But
had
hold on,
highlights
this is
magazine.
highlights.
Yeah.
You're
Which
talking
is
about
fire, by the way.
2000?
Sports
We
Illustrated.
have Goofus
Yeah,
and Gallant.
so you're talking about the PS2 is out, the N64 is like, people thought it was kind of worthless, so that's why it was
Bro,
like in this weird box.
What?
N64 to me
I love it.
is like, it's one of the most important things that's ever happened in my entire life. I was such a Nintendo guy over PlayStation and Sony. I remember Charlie Wisco thought, an intern of mine from like way back, he thought, like genuinely, earnestly thought that Nintendo 64 was the first Nintendo console.
Oh, no.
And I had never, that was actually the first time I ever felt old. Because I was still like, when he was working with me, I was probably like 28 maybe, or 27, I wasn't that old. And he was like, yeah, you know, like the original Nintendo with like you know, super, like Mario 64 and all that shit, like Ocarina of Time. I was like, the first? Did you say? That was a harrowing
What was it
moment.
called before that?
It was Super Nintendo before that, and then Nintendo.
Wasn't it like Game
And
Pass
Game
and
Boy
like
was-
shit
Oh,
like that too? Like
GameCube.
Game Pass. and all that.
Game
I
Pass
was
was
a-
Sega.
Was
I was a
Sega.
Game-
That was
I was-
Sega.
I was a
Sega-
GameCube.
That was the
guy.
first one with
Sega.
CDs
You
that
had
I
GameCube?
can
I
remember.
played GameCube.
You were too young for 64.
N64 barely
Because
missed.
Game,
I remember having
GameCube,
it.
I feel like, is probably underrated.
It was niche.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
bet that it's underrated.
I think it was like a
I
niche
remember
gamer
Smash
thing.
Bros.
Yeah.
GameCube was
Smash Bros.
awesome.
NFL Street was
Yeah.
like the best on
NFL
GameCube.
Street.
I remember
Yeah.
when
Those are my
GameCube
games.
came out,
Yes,
they had made
big
it
app.
very clear they were going for a younger audience.
Yeah, right.
So there wasn't like
Weird
violent
controller,
games and fighter
too.
games.
Very
it was
weird
wacky.
controller.
The tiny disc,
Yeah.
the only
Yeah.
console that's ever
Well, that's
been
because
those are
every other,
so tiny.
basically they found a way to format PS2 discs and they found out a way to format like any other disc system. They were like ripping them off. So they're
Yeah.
like, well, let's see you try and rip it off with a disc this small.
I see, that's
They
interesting.
couldn't do it. Yeah.
So I feel like when they did like Luigi's Mansion was
Yes,
their big
that's
thing,
exactly what I was thinking.
and it
Yeah.
wasn't, and that's when PlayStation was also taken off.
Yeah.
So I feel like
PS2's
Nintendo dropped, then they came out with the Wii, and they had
Yeah.
the motion shit,
That was
and that
next
kind
level.
of brought it
Yeah.
back. So it's a very interesting like the Nintendo PlayStation like
Yeah.
war. That's probably one of the only industries when you think about it, not the only, but one of the premier where like the OG kind of got beat by. I mean,
Yeah.
Nintendo's still like a powerhouse, obviously, right? Are they?
No, it's still massive with the
What's
Switch.
the Switch?
Well, think like
Switch
Pokemon
brought
Go.
back again.
Switch rules still, yeah.
Our
What
things
is-
are
Like
awesome.
Pokemon Go. I know it's not really
Right.
Nintendo, but it's
No, that was
Pokemon
huge,
Nintendo.
yeah. But like Sony came in and it was like I remember being
Yeah.
like, you know, Nintendo's king, and then like they probably grabbed at least
Yeah.
the majority of the market share. For
I think
a long
Yeah,
time.
64 was definitely better than PS1, but then the PS2 was better than any
PS2 was
console
wild.
basically until
Yeah.
the PS4.
And then
Like,
the 360 was so much better than anything else.
yeah, but
And
it
then
would
it kinda
ring
was
all
like
the time,
PS4.
and there was so much bad like press
Right.
behind that. We had people like what was it? You put the towel around the 360.
Yeah, if you had the
and
red
then
ring
it
of death.
overheat so that you
had
could
the red
actually
ring of
get.
death.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
great. That was
That was-
a
yeah.
major deal. That was
Yeah.
a major.
If you had to pick one video game for the rest of your life, pick a console and a single game, and that's all you know. You're on a desert island or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Madden.
locked
I'm
in a
alone.
basement
You're
forever.
alone.
Yeah, you're alone in a basement forever.
It was Madden with Vic on the cover, whatever year that was. I
Oh,
played that
so
more than
four.
any.
Alright,
I played that more
never
than.
want to just play fucking
maybe?
football.
Oh,
over and
4 or
over again.
5.
I played it more than any game ever.
That you're picking
Yeah.
Madden?
No, see, I'm just not like a huge video game guy.
Mm.
I would probably go like that NFL Street, like from GameCube. But like
That was like
I have an old like a console.
That was
and,
almost
like,
like
No,
NBA Jam
you need to be able to
before.
do a franchise like year after year after
That's
year
a
after
good
year.
point.
You have to just be able to
I'm
do
just
that
not
forever.
in touch enough to really even like know. I haven't owned last Xbox. I probably owned like Xbox. That was
I
probably the
wasn't.
last console I owned.
I always tell people I obviously wish I gambled.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. But I wish I stayed with my high school hobbies. I wish I continued to smoke weed, and I wish I played video games. Because between the
can do that,
e-gaming
dude.
world, yes, I can. You can certainly pick it up thanks to Trici. I get my THC extract all day, every day now. But like cannabis and esports became
Yeah.
the most profitable along with gambling. Had I just done those 3 things, we'd all be rich. You can dive in, but you can smell a poser a fucking mile away when
Right.
in both. If you're like, yeah, man, I fucking love to blow trees.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, stoner poser is tough.
It's tough. And then gamers too. It's like, it's also I was so fascinated with like if you don't use it, you lose it in video games.
right
Like,
away.
I used to be pretty good with the sticks. Like I could play. I wasn't gonna win like a tournament or something like that, but I would be able to beat all my friends. I could beat games. And now I'm like, I tried to play the dodgeball game. It's Knockout Ball
City?
or whatever.
Well,
I
that
was
game
like,
sucked.
oh my god,
That was
fucking
awesome.
That game's a
stink
good game.
at that.
That's what I said. Bren brought me in to play it. I loved it.
Because that's like
I was
an
awful at it,
easy-
but I loved it.
It's
like a
easy fun. You
fun-
understand dodgeball. You don't have to learn like a whole new game or
Right.
shooting mechanism.
But
It's
I
just
was
fucking
like,
dodgeball.
little things like, this joystick is you look around, this
yeah.
joystick's to move. I used to be able to do that all smooth and
Yeah.
shit. Now I'm like, I get stuck. I'm just like looking at the sky. I'm like, oh no, I'm officially fucking old, man.
Yeah.
So that was tough. But yeah, one game for the rest of your life. What are you picking?
This is gonna sound crazy, and this is like gonna show my age here. But there's one game you could dive into and play for eternity and never get tired of
The
it.
Sims.
Minecraft. And like it's such a game for little kids. But I'm telling you, like, there's something with the creative sense.
What is it? Is that like building? You're building?
It's literally every single thing in the game is a block.
Right.
And then you can literally make anything you want in the game, but you also have to survive. So you have to like make a farm, food. You can have pets.
Okay.
You have to mine for diamonds, and like
And that's
there's
on
zombies.
what console is that?
It's kind of on everything.
every-
It's
You
like-
can't
it's
win,
on
right?
phones.
There's no win.
No.
There is no wins. It's just survival as long as you possibly can go. So that game, I'm thinking like the long term.
There's no
Yeah.
boss.
Like
There's no
after
nothing.
after a month or so on this island, I'll get bored with like a Madden or an NFL Street, but the Minecraft just lives on.
What about, do you ever play The Sims, like the original
6
computer
years.
game?
6
like
years.
original?
Yeah.
Like,
One
that was
guy
most
played for 6
addictive.
years.
Right.
6 years.
Yeah.
This
Like-
guy.
Kevin,
Is
did you
that
do
the
that?
record? 1 game, 6 years?
I think it was like 6
He
or 7
streamed
years.
it for
someone
like
just
6
died.
years straight in the same
Yeah.
lifespan, and then he just randomly died, and it was like one of the most
like on the hardest
reviewed-
emotional
yeah.
thing.
It was very emotional. It was like
Yeah.
he goes into the lava and you're like, no.
Dude,
Yeah, like literally.
if you are watching a video game stream and you're like crying and you're getting emotional,
That's so
you need
funny.
to check your shit. That's gotta be. You're the biggest loser of all time. You're crying. I guess it's like watching sports though, right? You're watching like an
Yeah.
emotional moment. Someone dies
Maybe like
in
watching a
Minecraft.
hockey stream.
I think I would go. I mean, there's also a difference between like what you think the best game is and what you
Replayable.
Like
What could you dive so many hours into?
I feel
Roller
like
Coaster Tycoon.
you know what I wish they did. I wish they made like expansion packs or whatever you want to call it every year that there were more stars for Mario 64.
Okay.
Remember,
would
because
be-
you could win
yeah.
the game, but then you could go back and get every star.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
could
yeah.
keep playing, but then eventually you get all like 120 stars or whatever it was. I wish I could just keep getting fucking stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like the best game for me was Zelda on 64. But GoldenEye probably.
But one
GoldenEye,
player?
Mario Kart.
One player?
Yeah,
To me, GoldenEye, Mario Kart,
Yeah.
and Zelda, and
But dude,
Mario.
need
You don't want to
player.
do
How are
one
you
player
gonna play
GoldenEye?
GoldenEye single player?
Single.
What's that? Yeah, I mean, yeah. All right.
Because GoldenEye, the whole thing was like
Yeah. It was, yeah.
that
Have
level
you ever
with
played
the gondola.
RBI baseball?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that was
That's my
like
favorite.
05, right? Wasn't that 05? Or are you talking about way back in the day?
God, Kevin, you might have to jump out
It
a
was in
window.
'85, bro. I'm talking about the original.
Or the OG.
Nintendo RBI baseball. We're gonna play
Babe
that
Ruth
next.
was in the game.
Yeah, I mean this shit was. It was the 80 like 7 season maybe. All I know is that like Tony Armas was on the Red Sox on the bench. He had 43 home runs, so you had to like sub him in for
Isn't that
Spike
funny?
Owen. It's all these little fucking tricks, man. 05, he said, I'm gonna kill
Well, the
myself.
thing about gaming now is it's not like you have this broad, like have to grow as a gamer, you shouldn't be playing a bunch of different games. Like you
I
grind
know, you gotta pick the one
game.
thing.
So it's like my game is Warzone, and I'm like a top whatever player in the world in it.
Top
but
what?
I couldn't
Say it.
quantify it. Like I have a 375 KD, which is most average players have like a 0.9,
Oh
0.1.
shit!
So like I play in tournaments. I compete like at high
Give me a
levels.
number.
Top in the world.
In the world, okay, so on the leaderboards, I'm like 4,000th, I think, in
In the
kills
world.
out of like 60 million players or something.
Wow.
It's like
That seems good.
it's.
Are
yeah, I
you-
put a lot
wait,
of
what-
hours.
Wait, what's the general?
Are you the
Smitty-
best?
very bad.
Smitty's like a 0.9.
So
And you're 3.75?
Yeah, it's like that's how many kills I get before I die.
Got it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
so that
like
means
a
he,
ratio,
he gets killed more than he kills, and you
Yes.
get 3.75 kills per time
Yes.
you get
Correct.
killed.
Yeah.
So, are you at this game Warzone? Which console's that? Or
Well,
PC?
it's PC,
Right, okay,
PlayStation's
okay.
everywhere.
Are you
Call of Duty.
at Warzone? Are you your performance at Warzone? Is that the best thing that anybody at Barstool does?
Ooh, good question.
Is that quantifiably like talent-wise?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I'm not better at podcasting radio than you. And
Oh,
Big Cat.
this
you know.
guy, this
But like,
guy.
yes, you are definitively. Like, probably percentage-wise. You know, like if you're 4,000 out of 60 million, you're probably in the 0.01%.
I would say
60 million. He said.
Yeah, like you're probably in the point, 0.001%.
Yeah, that's up
I would
there.
say it's
Probably
up
in
there.
the top like
That's up there.
15% of podcasting. That's a way. You are
I would say it's up
absolutely
there.
ahead of the.
Is he better at that than Taylor Lewan is at football?
Ooh.
Taylor Lewan is.
Is
He was
some would say
a
pretty
first
good.
round pick too.
First round
I
pick.
mean,
That's a great
He
question.
was like an all-pro
are
tackle.
you?
Like
Are you
No,
better
he's better
at,
because there's so many fewer football players.
exactly, but that's what makes it kind of hard to quantify.
That's out of 60 million. Are you better than Alex Cooper is at the Gluck Gluck?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question.
I don't know
I feel
if
like
you
I can
quantify
confidently
that.
say no, yeah, because I don't know if you can quantify that.
No.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
That's King
3,000 is
Cooper.
the quantifiable number.
Well, yeah, technically, yes.
There's been 3,000 Gluck Gluck.
Yeah.
Wait, is it I thought it was the 9,000.
I believe
Gluck Gluck
9,000.
9,000.
No, that's
9,000.
no hand. No hand is
Oh,
9,000.
excuse me.
Idiot.
96% of you motherfuckers watch these videos and aren't subscribed. Shout out to the 4%. You are good people. 4% of people are watching our
That's
clips.
about what I would guess the breakdown of
Good people versus bad
demographics
people?
in the world.
Yeah.
Good people versus bad people. Probably about 96% to 4.
That's
but
fair.
Be a good person.
But it's not even. I'm not even asking you to be a good person. I'm asking you to push a button.
Yeah,
I'm asking you to click a button.
you can be a bad person still, but just click
You
the
can be a
button.
piece of shit. Just click subscribe. 96% of you watch these clips and they're like, oh my God, that was a funny clip from this podcast. I liked it. And I'm just not going to help them out. The people who work to make it, the people who work to produce it, to post it, to upload it, and there's nothing from you. You're a bad person if you don't subscribe.
Be a good one.